Greetings, fellow investors. Welcome to Nordic Finance with me, Markus. And Lucas, you might have expected, but sadly we don't have Lucas with us today. We had some editing issues with this video and we lost part of the audio, so I'm sadly gonna have to make this video again. But the topics of this video is we're gonna look how to declare taxes in Finland. This is a follow-up on a series we've been doing where we're going through different tax matters. And this is pretty relevant for the year of 2021 now, as a lot of people probably are concerned about taxes and such. Now, we're not actually gonna file any taxes in this video today, but we are gonna show, I'm so used to saying we, but I am gonna show you where you can find what kind of deductions you can do, what kind of additional taxes you might have to do, and what Vero has already filled in for you, and if you need to make any changes, where you can find where to do those changes. So that is the topics of this video. It's a bit weird not having Lucas around, but I guess I will still ask you, fellow investors, have you done your taxes already? Or from which country are you? What are the tax practices there? It would be really interesting to know where you're from and a little bit about how the tax system works there. For the purposes of this video, of course, we're gonna look how it's done in Finland. But let's jump right into it. Now we're here on my screen, looking at the Vero homepage. So this is when you type in vero.fi in your browser of choice, you're gonna find this. And then all you need to do, unless you want to have it in Finnish, is you can select here the language. You can even select Swedish and probably maybe Russian. But we're going to use English for the purposes of this video. And then you just click here, log into my tax. Now I'm not actually going to show when I log in because I'm going to have to use some personal details and stuff. But I'm going to see you on the other side. Alright, and we're back. And now how you log in is you basically need a Finnish internet bank. At least I think you need a Finnish one. However, when you get here, you're going to select My Tax Matters if you do this for yourself. And then you're going to find yourself on this page. For the purposes of this video, we're going to look at tax returns and tax information right here. And we're of course going to want to do it for 2020, the last year. And here you can find your pre-completed tax return. And here you can select correct. Here we are then. So I've seen a little bit of a different variations on how to do this, but you can either go and declare it right away or you can do it in advance. I don't think it matters much which one you actually select, but for the purposes of this video, we're actually going to look at the pre-completed tax return. So this is, for instance, what you could get in the mail from Vero here in Finland, what they've already filed for you. It's usually based on the previous year. Now, I'm not going to scroll down on this page. Actually, all of this should probably be blacked out because this is private information like your name, your bank account, in which commune or city you live in, if you're part of the church, all this kind of stuff. Your phone number should also be there and address, of course. If anything, if you have gone through any changes like this during the year, make sure that they're correct, because you definitely want Vero to have the correct information that they can reach you, otherwise you might get into trouble. So make sure that this background page right here is correct, but here is nothing like I can advise you on any further, that you just have to make sure this yourself, that all your personal information is correct. And here we have the pre-completed income and deductions. This is, I'm not going to show you this either. This is once again private. This is what they have already done, so to speak. You can usually see your salary here, any withholding tax that you have already paid. We're not going to get into that in this video. We should probably do that in a future video, how withholding tax works. But here in this, there is a right column here. I'm not going to show it because, once again, private information. I'm not going to show it at all in this video, actually, because, like I said, private information, I'm not comfortable right now putting this on the internet. But basically what you can see here is what they have already filed for you. So once again, you can see your salary. If you're a student, maybe you have received some kind of grant, something like this. Dividends, I have a little bit of that, or foreign capital income, all these kinds of stuff, which they have already taken into account when making your tax filings, I guess it's called in English. We call it declaration in Swedish at least. So this is the information that they already have, but now we come to the meat of this video, what you can actually either have to file if you have any extra income, so that you don't get any problem with Vero once they realize that you have extra income. Or you can also make deductions, which means that you can lower your taxable income, and that way you save money in taxes you don't have to pay. We're going to start with the other income. So once again, I'm going to block out this right column. There's a right column here with all my information. Once you changes things here in this, here, for instance, if you have pensions and you click yes, and then add what kind of pension you have, then it would actually change this column here where it says summary. But here, anyways, we have pension and benefits. I'm not too well versed with this. I don't have a pension. I'm way too young for that right now, and I do not have any children or anything like that either, so I don't have any benefits. But if you had any of those, this is where you would file them in that case, and I think you probably have to do that. If you have pensions, for instance, you definitely have to, or you have foreign pensions, you have to file them here as well. Here we come to something I'm a little bit more familiar with. If you have capital income, for instance, if you have received anything from your employer, maybe you have received stock options. It definitely happens here in Finland as well. You have to file for that. If you have any rental income, I know that this is a big one for people that have rental income. Here we have capital gains, and this one, of course, is if you sell, for instance, an apartment. Here we have other capital income. Here I can note that there is, for instance, private lending, so P2P lending. We have a video on that, for instance. If you have that kind of income, it is important that you actually have to file it. And here also, this is very relevant because this is a profit or loss from your equity savings account. We have done a video on equity savings account. It's definitely something we recommend at this channel because you can get certain tax advantages here. When you take out either profits or losses from that account, you have to file them here. That is the time you will be taxed for gains on that equity savings account. Here is, for instance, if you income generating activities, which is if you're a freelancer, for instance, private daycare provider. So if you have that kind of maybe side business or main business, you have to file that here. If you have taken a shareholder loan, this is very specific. I think this doesn't apply to most people. It's more if you are involved with companies and stuff like that. For most small time investors such as myself, this is not maybe so relevant. And here is other earned income if you, for instance, get money for hobbies or recreational activities. And once again, more pensions. So remember to file those pensions as well if we have any older or maybe disabled viewers here. Then we're going to go to deductions. And this is the part where you should pay special attention because here you can actually lower your taxable income through using deduction for different kind of costs. So you can actually save money by doing this because Vero might even pay you out money if you have paid too much taxes in a year. And what is important here is that when you get your tax filing, they might claim that you actually have to pay them more taxes. But once you have done this deductions part, the tax filings might come back that you actually receive money from them instead, because you had so many deductions that it took you on the right side of the tax filing, so to speak, that now they will actually pay you a little bit instead. And that's a very good feeling. I used to, when I was younger, I didn't really pay much mind to these deductions, but then again, when you're young, they might not be so relevant. But especially once you start doing home improvements or investing or any type of financial activities, it's definitely worth remembering that you can definitely lower your taxable income. So let's get right into it. Here we have tax credit for household expenses. This is, for instance, the renovation or care work or household, all these kinds of stuff. You can get tax credits for these kind of improvements if you have used a registered company or hired an employee for this. But you are also able, I think, if you do this yourself, you can also deduct it. But especially if you have, for instance, hired an employee or a professional, this is definitely something you could look into because those sums can actually be substantial. Membership fees, or you're part maybe of a union or something like that, unemployment fund, you can subtract that. Of course, if you have expenses for production of income, all our influencers out there, they should be very aware of this, because say you buy a camera or something and this is necessary for your income, you have an office, anything like that, this is deductible, remember that. If you have a reduced capacity to pay taxes, maybe you got laid off like in May or when half of the year had already passed, you definitely have a reduced capability to pay taxes even though your income might have been high before. Deduction for second home from work. For instance, if you need to rent another apartment for your work, you don't work at your home city, home commune. And this can be a substantial amount because rent can be quite a lot if you do it for a whole year. Mandatory pension insurance contributions. If you do any of these, remember, you can deduct them. Expenses for management of securities. Here it should be like most kind of holding fees, stuff like that. If you have to pay anything to just hold your shares or ETFs or index funds or what have you, you can actually deduct them here. And remember, that can be very significant if you do it every year. You're definitely going to lower the taxes on your gains, so to speak, for every year if you do it thoroughly. Once again, more pension insurance if you pay more for that. Repayment of shareholder loans. I think that once again this doesn't apply to most people. Here we have other deductions from capital income. This is more if you have some kind of, maybe if you have a loan, you borrowed at margin and you had to pay a service fee for that loan. That's not something we recommend at this channel. We're not so much for margin here, but if you have that, definitely deduct it. I'll have to look into if you can at least partially deduct fees here as well, all kinds of fees. I'm sure you can at least deduct commitment fees and service fees, for instance, for loans, but I'm not sure if you can deduct general fees. This applies if you have a child. There's a lot of deductions you can do if you have a child, but I honestly haven't looked too much into them at the moment because I don't have a child right now. More child-related deductions. Claim for income spreading. This is a pretty important one actually, because say for instance that you have the type of work where you get 100,000 euros 1 year, but then the next 3 years your income would be substantially lower. This is something you have to bear in mind if you have that kind of work, or whatever reason you might have that you get very large lump sums every now and then, because you can claim for income spreading then. If there's any interest, I guess we could do a whole video about this concept and explain it more in detail. Secondary market compensation. The way I understand this is that it deals with if you have bought bonds from a seller and you paid extra money for the accumulated interest. Once again, this is a very specific one. If you deal with bonds, bear this in mind. Here we have another reduction in value of car benefit. I guess this is if you have a very valuable car or you're very reliant on it. Deduction for donated forest. I think this is pretty self-explanatory. If you have donated forest, you can deduct that. In general, you can also see donation deduction. All kind of donations you do are actually deductible. So this is a reason to be a little bit more generous, that if you did donate a lot of money, you can actually lower your taxable income with that amount. This is once again this is deduction for reclaimable payments. Say that you're a student, for instance, and you have had to pay back to Kela because you didn't get enough points. It happens. If this happens, then you can actually deduct this payment you have made to Kela so that you're not taxed for that amount of money that you never received anyway. International situations. If we have a lot of international viewers or people that have moved to Finland, you should definitely investigate this. If, for instance, you have moved to Finland recently, maybe you are not taxable yet in Finland. I'm not going to talk too much about this because I simply don't know. I've lived in Finland all my life. But if you are an international person that have come to Finland, or you're moving away from Finland, investigate this, I think. The final one you have is deduct loss of capital income. I guess this could be like a credit loss, for instance. Maybe if you lose share capital altogether, all these kinds of losses. I guess these have to be relatively substantial, but this is definitely something to also investigate if you're a bit more involved into capital markets. I hope that gives an overview of what you can deduct and also what you need to file for your tax filings in Finland, for instance for the year 2020, which we are doing right now. I have actually completed mine and it was okay, so I'm not going to do any changes. But if I wanted to, for instance, save as unfinished, if I wanted to take a break, do something else, maybe grab a coffee and then continue once I have amassed a bit of more energy, I can do it there. I can even cancel it if I am completely unsatisfied with what I've done. And if I'm completely okay with what I've done and I have done all my deductions and I'm happy with the result, what I can do then is just preview and send it away. And then it will be Vero's job to actually recalculate according to the information you have provided. In most cases, I think that they will take your, so to speak, take your word for what you are filing. And you are responsible for what you are filing as well. So please do not do any shady stuff, so to speak, and try to do stuff that maybe not be true. It's very important to be transparent when dealing with Vero. If you are transparent, most times you will be okay. Always try to ask if you are unsure. Actually, all my encounters with Vero so far have been pretty positive, and that they have been quite helpful in helping me understand how different things should be filed, or if I did something wrong. It's way better to be a bit proactive and try to figure things out than either just file things wrongly or try even to be misleading. We definitely don't recommend that. Then you could get in a lot of trouble. However, it is definitely worth considering these deductions that we also went through in this video. You can definitely lower your taxable income in a legal way, and this is important because there is no reason not to do this. So once you are done with all of this, just preview and send it away. But with that, I think this video is coming to a close. We went through where you can find the pre-completed tax return in Finland for 2020 at My Tax, where you can file taxes in Finland. This is part of our tax series. We have done a few videos. Once again, it's too bad Lucas couldn't join us for this video. Anyways, I hope that you got a lot out of this video. If you have any questions, please feel free to let us know. And I hope I did okay, even though I was by myself for this one. Please like, share, subscribe, all this good stuff. If you found any value in this video, or if there's something you would like to add and maybe advise us on, that'd be greatly appreciated as well. And it's pretty weird to say this, but I guess with that, all that there is left to do is wish you guys happy investing and mind those taxes.